Gather around the fire, my friends. Welcome to the Drunken Cryptids. I'm your guide, Matthew. Here, you'll hear encounters of the spooky, paranormal, the strange, and the unknown. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. It's showtime.
Was these two globes. I don't know how to describe them. And I stood up there and looked at them, and it's like...
That how she turned and looked at me, she backed straight up to my closet door.
I just couldn't hold it anymore, and I was like, oh my gosh, that was a chupacabra. I was so excited.
I am drinking something I affectionately refer to as a Matty Rita.
And welcome back to another episode of the Drunken Cryptids. I'm your host, Matthew Wharton. And I do want to give a quick shout out to blademedia.com. Dylan over at Blade Media, you did a great job on the graphic, man. I get a lot of compliments on it. Your imagination and creativity behind it is exactly what I was imagining in my head. And I appreciate it. If y'all haven't seen the symbol, the emblem, I'm drawing a blank there. I'm stumbling over my words, but you get the idea. The logo. The actual official logo. Thank you. Yeah, Dylan, you did a good job. Gunner, Tommy, I can't say enough about you guys in the background working hard for me. I really do appreciate it, and y'all do it pro bono, which is amazing. None of us are getting paid for this right now, which is fine. We're doing this for fun. And I want you guys to know that we are doing this all for fun. This is an absolute blast and a dream come true of being able to be part of this community. And the cool thing is also is that we are going to be at the Arkansas Paranormal Expo. We'll have a booth set up. We'll be a vendor for this year. Who knows? Maybe a speaker next year. But this year we're going to be just a vendor. We'll have T-shirts for sale. We got a couple koozies that came in. We're playing around with some koozie ideas. And by the time the expo rolls around, we should have them lined out. I'm a big coffee drinker, and I have not come up with a coffee cup yet that I want to do. So I'm on the fence on it. And I've only got one shirt right now for sale, you guys, and it is a comfortable shirt. It's great. I just kind of did some tweaks to it, and the new batches came in today, and they're already posted by the time this episode airs. And so, like, weeks ago I got it, man. But, you know, podcast time travel thing, because this episode's dropping in September, and we're talking here in the middle of August. But, no, there, you know, again, being a part of this community, and I'm appreciative of all the support of my close friends who pushed me to do this, who had been pushing me to do this, and they keep on me for keep doing this. Even at a dark point in time in my life this year, kept pushing me to do this. And I can't thank my friends enough for the encouragement and the nudging of it. And as soon as life changed and things changed and a big event happened in my life, and that'll be talked about further down the road, but man, this is great. I've been invited to go on an expedition with Todd Neese. And I don't think you guys realize just the implications and how exciting that's going to be. I am beyond excited. This is a dream come true, whether or not we have an encounter or not. I'm going to be in the woods with Todd Neese and a film crew. I'm going to be part of something that I would watch, you know, in my living room and be so envious. And I just want to tell you guys, no matter what's going on in your world, it does get better. And it's going to get better. And part of the proof of how it does get better is my guest tonight. You've heard her before. She's been on 2 episodes already. We've had a lot going on between her second episode and now. So I do want to welcome back to the Drunken Cryptids my good friend Heidi. Heidi, welcome back to the show.
It's good to be here.
Thank you. I'm glad they have you here. So, again, you've already been down to the tavern, so you've seen the tavern before.
I love it. I did a TikTok when I first got here showing the layout and everything.
Awesome. I hope your followers... I have not put this on my TikTok yet.
Really? I'm the first?
Yeah, I haven't done... So I haven't showed Yeah, because I do my weird TikTok things like, vampires, da-da-da-da-da, werewolves, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then I catch myself rambling. I wonder where they... Yeah. So,
No, I did a tour. I showed everything, including the alien being over there watching over the other alien abducting the cow, all of it.
yeah, I'll be honest
And
with
then
you.
I tagged you in it, so
Oh,
it's
okay.
on your page.
Sweet. Well, what I do love is the cow is being... So Sammy figured out how to do the magnet. Leave it to the kid. Yep. So the cow and the UFO was one of my favorites that I have down here at the tavern. That, and I got Tawny's sticker posted as well from his conservatory group that he has,
Okay.
trying to conserve the, North American primate, which would be Bigfoot. But yeah, so we've had a lot been going on in our lives since the last time you were on the show. We've talked a lot off air, obviously,
Yeah.
but I mean you've been busier with your TikTok is blowing up.
TikTok's blown up. I'm a little over 6,000 followers now. I've gone on 2 vacations with my grandkids, one up north and one to the beach.
Got to go to the beach.
Got to. One of them, it's a second time. One of them, it's his first time, so that was really cool. Got stung by a jellyfish. The oldest one took it like a champ. I put myself in the way of the younger one so he didn't get stung. I'm his hero now. He's like, yeah, Grandma took one for me, so... So we learned silver gel will absolutely heal a jellyfish sting and make the stinging burn stop.
So no R. Kelly then?
I got a whole bunch of shells, so I'm making new jewelry and putting it on my business Facebook page, and that'll be going. So that's A Fallen Rose Tarot and Positive Vibes.
Don't you follow the Drunken Cryptids Facebook page?
I do.
See? He's one of the followers. I've shared some of your posts, actually. So if you look through the Facebook page, you guys, you'll see I've shared a Fallen Rose.
Mm-hmm. And I did the astrology predictions, the tropical and the Vedic. I'm starting to do that on that page. But the jewelry, you have to be quick on it because I sell out just almost as soon as I put it up. I can't keep it in stock.
Well, so like I said, we're recording this in mid-August. So, and your episode's going to drop, I believe, the first week of September. Yeah, first week of September.
The babies and I collected over 6,000 shells. We're good.
Okay, you're covered?
Yeah.
Excellent.
And then we just
Sorry,
got a whole bunch of copper in. So I've got kind of stuff to work with.
Okay, maybe I want a shell bracelet to go.
Okay.
Just saying.
Do you want a shell or bracelet or necklace? I think a necklace would probably survive better on you. You're kind of rough.
That's true. That's true. I don't know. Yeah, I go through bracelets. I don't know, but I'm partial to my one little, my Viking compass.
Maybe I can figure out a way to work them together.
Maybe, yeah, because I like the leather strap with it. I'll let you play with it later.
Okay.
But no, so tell me a little bit more about your TikTok, because I want to continue your story, because the last time we talked, you were leaving the family. And if you guys haven't listened to our episode yet, stop what you're doing, go back, find Heidi Part 1, Heidi Part 2, and then come back to this episode. But you were getting out of the family the last time we talked. But let's talk a little bit more about the TikTok, because you're doing a lot more cool things on TikTok. You're doing some live shows.
I go live almost every day, except for Sundays. Sundays, I teach a mentoring class for people that are interested in esoteric, metaphysical stuff. Right now, we're working on protections and stuff. The astrology is lining up for this month, August, to be kind of terrible, and then again in October toward the middle to get pretty intense. So I'm teaching how to do protective charms around their houses, around themselves, things like that on Sundays. And I made it really low because those aren't my students, they're my mentorees. My students get more access to me, and they make it a year through the mentor program to make sure that they're really, this is what they want. Because a lot of people just want information and want to learn about stuff, and they're like, oh, okay, that's what that's about, and they're fine. So it's like, I think it's $8.99 to join the class, and then you get free readings on Sundays, and you get bumped up in the list on readings because my lists are pretty long every night. I go on at 7:30. I don't get off my lives until about 11:30, but I close the list at 9:30.
Okay, well, so how can they find you on TikTok?
A Fallen Rose, and it's got a little dinosaur coffee cup and a heart, but there's a lot of scammers. So when you look at it, look at the bio. Are there 6,000 followers? Is there a showcase? Is there a link to my Facebook page? That's the real one. Anyone that has anything different is a fraud.
Perfect.
Which I'm glad I'm cool enough to have frauds.
You know, that's
you
awesome.
know.
I'm not gonna lie to you. That is pretty. And they're out there.
They are.
They are out there. Because you were telling me about it one time about having fraud and people trying to monitor and do this and do that, and I'm just like, okay.
They
So
still
now I'm
my
like paranoid.
videos.
Now I'm paranoid about mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I worry about it. You know, I'm like going, okay.
My followers will get messages. I never hit anybody's inbox, so all the people that actually follow me will get messages in their inbox, my beloved, and I'm like, I've never spoke like that a day in my life.
Yeah, since I've known you for the past like 4 years, I've never heard
Yeah.
you say my beloved.
And so then they'll ask for money and stuff, and so my followers will go and report that account, and then they'll go ahead and block it, and that's kind of how we've been dealing with it, because TikTok can't keep up with how much.
It's sad that people have to go on there and the scammers, and they're taking advantage of people who are feeling lost at the time, and they feel as though they need help.
Yeah.
And they're reaching out for help, and these people are completely taking advantage of it to where I already know the scam. They say, "Oh, I just need $10 for this ingredient, or I need $10 for this," and the next thing you know, that poor person's out $150,
Yeah.
and there's nothing been accomplished.
From what I have recorded, because I'm like that, like I'm very analytical about it, people have been scammed out of around $6,000.
Good Lord.
On me, personally, on people pretending to be me.
That's horrible.
And so if you can screenshot it and you can send it to me on my Facebook, then I give you a free reading.
Yeah,
Because
I will tell
feel
y'all
like
this.
that's wrong.
Yeah, I will tell y'all this is that Heidi's really good at getting back with you. She's really good at reaching back out to her followers, all 6,000 of them.
I do.
One of your minders.
One of my mentors, and she's also a student now. She graduated the mentor program, Eleanor.
Eleanor reached out to me about something on your show or something was going on with you or something along those lines. I remember that. It was about a month ago. So that was pretty cool that, the reaching on out. So if you guys do follow her, you guys are interested in, what Heidi does, by all means. It's a Fallen Rose. It's on TikTok. She's on Facebook. Yeah, give her a shout out. Tell her Drunken Cryptids sent you.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So last time we talked, you were getting out of the family.
I was 19 when we left off.
Yep.
I was on house arrest, got off house arrest. I had left baby daddy because baby was coming and he thought that I needed to delete baby, and I disagreed. And so we came to an agreement that he would never speak to me. I would never speak his name, which I kind of flubbed on because I made sure my son knows who that person's name is, but the rest of the world does not. And he has kept his word. We've run into each other 3 times since my son was born. All 3 times he has either left the restaurant or crossed the street.
Okay.
So we make eye contact and he's like, oh, shit, bye. And that's it. No speaking, no nothing. My son was never the wiser, and I'm cool with that. I never asked for child support. No. Because I respect that he didn't want to be a dad, but that doesn't mean that I'm willing to delete somebody. So.
Yeah, and he's tied into the family too, though.
No, he's
Okay,
the
good.
one that helped me get away. He's
That's
the
right.
one that I kind of, that's the other reason I kind of let him get away with all that, because remember, I conjured a way to get out, and he showed up and got me out, and I was like, oops, did I affect free will? My
Probably.
bad. So when that happened, I was just like, okay, so I don't disrupt him because,
You probably, this poor guy probably did. And if you're listening, she's sorry.
vaguely.
But but you were able to get out. So you had the little one.
Yes.
Okay. So carry on from there.
All right.
Because we're going down this trail on how you got to where you're at today.
Yes.
With the magic and with
So,
all this stuff.
my next step was, oh crap, I've got a little human on the way, and I want to be a stay-at-home mom like this little tiny human deserves, but I also have to support the tiny human, and I will not go on welfare and stuff. People talk bad about it back then, and I was raised with my grandma's influence that we don't take help. And so, I started meditating and I was like, universe, you got to tell me something because I don't know what's going on. And the next thing you know, somebody called me and they were like, I heard you were in a bind. Do you want to go work at this bar? And I was like, okay. So I started dancing. I was like, but that ain't going to last long because, baby, kind of affects the way you look. That's only going to fly for a while, which it flew for 8 months because I didn't show it all until 8 months. And then one day it was like, boom, there's a baby there. So, okay. And then at that point, the same person called me and they were like, do you want to clean my house for like $300? And I was like, bet. I mean, this was in the 90s.
Yeah.
So then I cleaned their house. While I was cleaning their house, they had a friend over. That friend asked that if I had more clients. I was like, not really. And they were like, well, would you mind doing a deep clean on mine? We discussed what a deep clean was. And the next day I went and they went with me to City Hall and I established my business. And then I had 17 clients and I was like, okay, so I'm a stay-at-home mom. This is cool. And nobody was mad about when I took off because I brought the baby out.
Yeah.
Nobody got mad about me bringing him. I just set up a playpen, put him in it, did what I needed to do. Nobody said a word. Everything was great.
That is awesome.
And so in the meantime, while cleaning houses and doing all that and getting references, because everything was word of mouth, I never advertised until 2016. Yeah. So from 97 to 2016, I never advertised. I got some cards from Walmart and printed them out, and that was it.
I remember those days. You could go get those. Yeah, you had to cut them out. You set up in the printer, download the program. Yep. Yeah, I did this. When I was in the Army, I did it too. I just making stupid cards.
Well, in between that, I ran into this other group of people, and one of them asked me to clean their house. That was cool. It was an attorney. Then he introduced me to some people, and then they introduced me to some people that had me down at IHOP in Little Rock, the original one. And I met the high priest of a coven.
Really?
Yes. Because he was a waiter. And he
least
was
he's
like,
working.
yeah. He's like, there's something different about you. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Because I was still working with the mentor that was a native.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've been working with a native that was a medicine man, down his lineage and everything, for about 2 years. Josh was almost 2 years old. So, and then they were like, so do you want to come and work with us? And I was like, I don't know what that means. I truly had no clue. I was like, what's a coven? What's that mean? Like, huh? And so I went and I talked to my mentor, and he was like, well, go check it out. It'll be fine. Just come back and tell me what's up. And I'm like, okay. So I go, and they were missing a west, which is the elementals. They wanted to call the corners, which is fine. They had a north, mother and earth, which is what I usually fall under. And then they had east, which turned out to be a really good friend of mine still to this day. They had a south, who actually practices a different thing altogether. He's more into Druidism.
Okay.
And then they had this open spot. And so with my natal chart the way it is and the way that everything's gone and my strengths, I kind of filled that role pretty easily. And I can flow back and forth between water and earth continuously.
That's pretty cool.
So, and then another group got a hold of me because they met me through this group, and I ended up on a ghost hunting group as well.
How was that?
Some of it is not what you think. Some of it is legit. Some of it is like the creepies, and I can hear things other people can't, and I can feel other things people can't. Everybody in the group has a strength. Some of them were actually criminal and got scary.
Well, I will tell you, so during the ghost hunter craze of the mid 2000s, and I say like between 2000 and 2010, I was working for a company, and I was working 7 days a week. You know, anywhere between 8 and almost 12-hour days.
Man,
burning
that's back
myself.
when we were young.
Yeah, burning myself out. And I decided, I was a big fan of their show. I love the way they approach things. And I was like, I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
So me and another buddy of mine, we decided we're going to create a ghost hunting group. And we did one hunt. And as anybody, if you've ever gone ghost hunting, it's probably one of the most boring. It's more boring than fishing.
Yes.
But just like fishing, though, when something happens, it's like catching that first fish. It's like, yeah. So we did it just one time only, because it wasn't meant to be at that time.
Well, the first one was a dud, no big deal.
Yeah.
And actually, because I had already been a plumber's assistant before I escaped, I found out and let them know that the problem wasn't metaphysical or paranormal. They actually had a problem with their piping, and they needed to call my buddy that I used to work for, and he replaced their plumbing. So
Love it.
that was my first one. And because you're supposed to go around and find every possible logical explanation first, and there was banging in their wall. And
Yeah, most of the time the banging in the walls is going to come from pipes, especially how old the house is.
it was a 100-year-old house.
Yeah, like the when we did investigation, she kept saying that she heard footsteps in the hallway. And so I took Mickey, I just name dropped you. I took Mickey down into the kitchen, and I went down to the end of the hallway, and he turned the water on, turned the water off, and they gave and then about 5 minutes later, we didn't hear anything else. We heard that knock, knock. And we both paused because at first we're like, and then I went, the water. We flushed the toilet, and the toilet was quiet. Not that loud, whoosh, but
Yeah.
it was, and then no sooner we flushed the toilet, and about maybe 90 seconds later, there was another knock, knock.
Huh.
And so we went, all right, somebody's using the bathroom. That's what's going on. That's what they're hearing. House is settling. So we wrote that one off.
Yeah.
Other things happened in that house that night. Later on, they got cool. But, yeah. So I'm with you on the pipes.
Well, that was the first one. The second one was a cemetery where things were coming out from where they ought not.
See, and this is where we argue at.
And so everybody else was like doing this and doing that. And I'm still fairly young and fairly naive about everything. And I heard a sound and it scared me. So I went up a tree because I'm country as hell. And that's where it's safe is in the tree. And
Hold on. If y'all have never met Heidi, Heidi's this tiny little petite thing. And I'm just picturing her grabbing this tree and swinging up it. And the only thing I have coming into my head is I'll come at you like a spider monkey on Mountain Dew.
kind of. I looked a little like a squirrel, like I was going.
Oh, man.
And so I'm sitting on this branch, and I'm just being quiet. And I'm hoping that my friends don't notice I disappeared, but I'm also hoping whatever that was don't see me. And I saw a dude digging up graves.
Yeah, see, my issue I have with cemeteries being haunted is by the time that people are put into a cemetery, they're already dead.
Yeah,
a lot has happened to them physically before they go to a cemetery. So everybody's like, cemeteries are creepy to me. And they're not creepy to me at all, because I know that whatever's in there is dead.
I later learned that you can communicate because that's where you can find a piece of them. Graveyard dirt's actually seriously powerful.
Yeah, it has been for many a millennia.
Yeah, but
Did you listen to my canine discussion?
I did.
And it's where the guy, he peed into a circle
Yep.
in a graveyard and then turned into a werewolf. I know. So this is coming from the
I
Romans.
left half of it off. I think my grandbabies were with me. I had to turn it off halfway.
Yeah. That's not one for kids. But so these two Roman soldiers are walking. The one stops. For some reason, they decide to stop into a graveyard. The one soldier pees into a circle around himself. Why they decide to release themselves in the cemetery, I have no idea. Release himself in the cemetery, turns into a werewolf, gets turned into a werewolf, runs off to a town, and the townspeople killed it.
Instant karma.
So so graveyard dirt has been around, and graveyards have been around for a millennia plus. And I think part of that is because it's a sacred site. It's no matter what, Indian burial grounds, our burial grounds.
Yep.
Every burial ground is a sacred site. And it's where, remember the movie Poltergeist? I mean,
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole concept behind the movie Poltergeist was it was built on a cemetery. That they just moved the headstones, but not the bodies.
Yep.
What you would think if people were going to dig a pool, they might find that because the pool's going to be further deeper than 6 feet.
It was the 80s. Not everybody could afford an in-ground pool yet.
Well, that's true, but it was going to catch up eventually.
They
but that's
had
where,
other
but that's where my
habits
mind
in
goes.
the 80s.
So I think that when it comes to the cemetery, part of our mind recognizes it as a sacred site, and we're going to treat it as a sacred site, and we're going to automatically assume because of Hollywood,
Yes.
for a millennium, has well, Hollywood has been, but Hollywood books, stories, and everything has been passed on down of the cemetery. Vampires rise out of a cemetery. If you look at your typical images of a werewolf, normally there's tombstones around it. You know what I mean? So I think there's something tied in to us mentally and physically, almost to be respectful and fearful of the cemetery. And maybe the reason why we are fearful of it is because that we see as our end.
Yes.
That we'll all end up there one day.
I think most of it is a matter of respect and a matter of knowing how disrespectful you're being if you're disrespecting consecrated ground. But so there was a dude in a uniform that I can't talk about, but it was a very recognizable uniform, and they were digging up one of the places, and I took pictures, and they saw the flash. But thankfully, my friends saw the flash too. And so they came running and they're like, yo, what's up? And then that dude dropped the shovel and took off, but they took pictures of him too. And then they took my camera and I was like, I don't want any part of this. Like, no. You said dead people. That dude's not dead.
So you caught actual grave robbers.
I did. And so they took my camera. They turned it into the police.
I was just about to ask y'all call the
thing.
police?
Yes.
Wow.
It got turned in. It went all over the news. But my name was out of it because I was like, I will leave your whole group. No. And they're like, no, we need you. And I'm like, mm-mm. So, no, there's no record of me. But if you talk to the other people that were there, they will totally talk about me up in that tree because I got so many cuts and scrapes coming back down that tree. I got hurt. It looked bad. I looked like I done fought a honey badger. But, it's whatever. So there are pictures of me there. Like, there's no denying it. But on record, I'm not there.
Right.
So,
That makes sense.
and so I got a lot braver after that because I'm like, well, this is like Scooby-Doo, yo. They ain't even dead. And
It's hilarious. It is Scooby-Doo. I'm not going to lie.
so,
It's not a ghost. It's a real person digging in a grave.
right?
What are the odds of that? You go to investigate a supposed, an alleged haunted cemetery.
Ooh,
I heard that too.
so did Jack.
I
Come
don't
here,
know.
baby.
I don't know what that was.
It fell on the roof. Okay, we'll quit talking about it. Dang.
I don't know what that was. I don't know if it picked up on the microphone or not, but
I'm sure it did.
I don't know what could have fallen on the roof.
We're just going to ignore that and keep going, but I'm going to stop talking about that.
Oh, I'm going to go right back to it.
No.
Knock again.
Oh, hell. No.
So if you didn't hear while we were having this conversation, something hit the building.
I'm not.
Okay, now we are in a fenced-in backyard, a chain-link fenced-in backyard in suburban North Little Rock. I mean, there's houses to my left, right, behind me, in front of me, to my left, right, southwest, every direction on the compass, I've got houses. Now, granted, we got big trees. Maybe it's just a
I'm
tree.
wearing my mirror and my obsidian, whatever. It's going to get you, not me. It's fine.
All right, so, okay, so anyway, so we're doing the ghost hunt. So you're at the cemetery, you catch these people, turn everything into the cops, go on from there.
Okay, so the next one is in Jacksonville. And it's a very, very old, dilapidated, decrepit, why was I in there? I probably could have got tetanus kind of house. And they were like, well, we have the owner's permission. And I was like, I don't believe you. And they were like, yeah, we got a key. And I was like, okay, well, if you have a key. Well, I tested it. The key actually worked. So I was like, okay, cool. And so we go inside. And immediately the person that uses dowsing rods starts getting things. And I'm like, okay, but I don't know a lot about dowsing rods yet. I do now, but back then I didn't. And all of a sudden I felt every hair on my arm stand up, but just one arm. And I'm like, okay. And so I start going through, and they've got their tape recorders and everything, and we've all got our flashlights. And we're there for literally the witching hour. Like, we got there at around 2:15 in the morning, and we started in at 3 o'clock because it took that long to convince me that this was legit and that we weren't breaking into something. And so then, as I'm going up these stairs, it's a really, really old house out in the middle of nowhere in the woods. Like, the driveway was long and dirt roady and all that. And as I'm going upstairs, they're like, we got to cover the downstairs first. And I was like, my gut says to go upstairs. And they're like, no, we got to do the downstairs. I said, fine, there's 5 of y'all. Do the downstairs. I got to go upstairs.
Yeah, see, I generally follow my gut when we do these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. So some of the investigations that I've gone on that I've been a part of, I will follow my gut. So if my gut says, go here, and this is why I crack a joke about the Elks Lodge with me and my buddy, my cop buddy, at the bathroom door. Should not have had to go pee.
Yeah.
But I was guided to go pee, and that's where we had the doorknob shaking. We couldn't open it up. We got in, the bathroom lights and all that stuff. And so, yeah. But I will tell you what happened. That noise we heard.
Yeah.
So there's nothing on the roof. Nothing fell off. Nothing slid
What
around the
was
side.
that?
So it's a metal roof.
Mm-hmm.
It's been 110 degrees today.
Well, yeah.
It's hot. And so the metal's sort of pop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So nothing paranormal.
It's still not going to get me. It's still going to get you first.
You already know they don't like me. You already know
That's true.
they don't like me. I don't know what it is. So
Of course it's 110 degrees. That's why we look so good for our age. We're steamed.
it's true. Yeah, exactly. We are steamed.
Every day.
Welcome to the South. And I work outside, so ugh.
But that's why you look so good. You got all the wrinkles steamed out. It's all right.
I just tell everybody olive olay.
So, when you go up these stairs, there's a kitchen on the right. There's like some kind of other room to the left, and it had another room in it, which would have been quarters for whoever worked there, so to speak, back then, because this house is really, really freaking old.
Okay, so is it like a pre-Civil War house?
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, which is fine. I mean, we can. Yeah, the thing about it is, it's part of our history. So I mean, it's a
Well,
black spot on our history, but
It
still.
is, but it's like there's,
So the servants' quarters were up there.
but it's lower. Like, it was the lowest part of the house, and that's where they were wanting to go investigate and why they were trying to keep me from going upstairs. And then in the front is a parlor, because we came in through the back. And then after the parlor is a sitting room, which is great because they didn't know what the difference was. And they were like, hey, the one who went to finishing school, why? Because all the furniture was still in there. And I'm like, well, because this one is a parlor and this one is a sitting room. The parlor's where you introduce people and where everybody meets, but the sitting room is where ladies gather for tea. And they're like, oh. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, okay. Well, both of them are fancy. I'm like, but only one has a piano.
Huh.
So they were like, okay, fine then, snob. I'm like, whatever. So and then there was another room that I never went in. I don't know what was in it, but I speculate it was probably the cook's area because we hadn't gone into that. We had found the pantry and the laundering room.
Okay.
So, but as I go upstairs, it's like in the middle of the house, and it's a stairway, and it's kind of steep.
Okay.
And the biggest guy that's there, who I never dated, by the way, just he felt protective over me for I don't know why, but he did. And so he was like, well, I'm going to follow her. Y'all are fine. And I'm like, okay. So we go upstairs, and in the first room where you hit the landing, it's not even really a room, it's a landing. It's like the hallway that leads to all of the rooms. And I'm like, something's been going on here. And he goes, what do you mean? And I was like, I have the tingles. He goes, you have the tingles? Do you have to go to the bathroom? I'm like, no, not the tinkles, the tingles. And he's laughing at me because he's a Yankee. He had a hard time understanding me.
It happens.
And there's 4 rooms. There's a big one on the right, a big one on the left. There's a restroom, but there's no, like, sink. It's like a big claw bathtub, and there's a basin. So that tells you how old this house is, because this is all original. And then I kind of looked around that room, and I mean, I saw some cool stuff, but nothing that was of interest to what I was doing. So I was going on. I went into the bedroom over here, and there was like a couple of bottles. Like, you could tell somebody had been there before,
Yeah.
but they were old, they were dusty, it wasn't recent. And you go over in the other room, and there was more bottles and stuff. Like, you're pretty sure somebody from the 80s had a good time there at one point.
Gotcha.
And I didn't feel anything in any of those rooms, but I went back out in the hallway, and I got the tingles again, and it went straight up my spine. And the room got really, really cold. And then my buddy was like, "Why is it so cold by you?" I was like, "Is it not cold by you?" He was like, "No." I was like, "Oh, I need a hug. I'm cold." He's like, "You don't like people touching you." I said, "Freaking hug me. I'm cold." And he put his arms around me, and he could feel the bumps and the hair standing up, and he let go of me really quick. He was like, "What is wrong with you?" I don't know. And I started messing around. We started using our flashlights, and I noticed this really, really big carpety thing. It wasn't shag carpet. It wasn't. It was like woven.
Okay.
I've never seen a carpet like it. And so I started tugging on it, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Making a mess. Come on." And he's like, "Okay." And we pull it up, and there's a pentagram underneath it. People had been casting in that house.
Oh, wow. I'm not surprised.
And I was standing in the center of their circle.
Because you got to remember,
That's
because during the 80s, it was the big Satan scare.
yeah, the satanic panic.
Yeah, the Satanic Panic. Thank you. And it was everywhere.
I don't know what they were practicing, but I know that somebody was practicing. And when you cast permanent circle, there are wards set up to let intruders know they need to move.
Now,
And-
did you know this at the time? Had you been educated at this point on this stuff? Okay.
Like, my mentor that was a native had told me that if somebody creates a sacred space, they put kind of a tag lock on it, and you do that with your castings too. And that some people do, some people don't, but most people at that point in time were. And they would let you know if somebody had been messing with your stuff. So I'm positive whoever cast that absolutely knew somebody had been there.
That's crazy.
But the rest of the crew came up because this guy's like, "Oh my God, she found stuff." And so then they took pictures and everything, and then we cleansed the area. And once we cleansed the area, you could visibly see the chill bumps go away and the hair lay down. Because it never stopped until after we did the entire cleansing ritual to cleanse the space.
Really?
And so I had to go and tell my coven about this, because this is cool. And I went and told my mentor about this, and he goes, "See, now you're getting out of my area." And I'm like, "Okay." And he goes, "It's time for you to find a new mentor." And I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "That doesn't mean you can't come back. That just means that I'm not the teacher for you anymore. And if you ever have another teacher that says that, don't take it personal. It means you've outgrown them."
That's fair.
And I'm like, "Okay." We stayed friends. He's cool. Well, he's not anymore because he's gone. But he was. He might still be cool. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing these days. But, you know, it was all right. And so we went on several more hunts. I found a lot more stuff. We got a lot of activity sometimes. Sometimes we got nothing. The coven started noticing that the more I practiced with them and the more I practiced the hunts, the better and stronger I continued to get, to the point that I could just say the same things I did when I was a little kid. "Well, I wish, da da da," and then it happens, and they're like, "Oh shit."
Oh, wow.
And there was an entity that was in the house that we practiced in, and it was welcome. But after I got to a certain level, it didn't like me, and it would swing the chandelier when I came in.
See, that
I would just come in, everybody else is there, no big deal. I could go in by myself because I had a key to the house. All by myself, it does not matter. When I sat down, that chandelier would start rocking. It's one of those old, heavy chandeliers. And I'm just like, "Well, I'm here and you can't stop me." And then I started to notice that everybody in the group, by this time, my son's 3, he's starting to polish uh, baseboards and stuff and help me clean in my business.
Yeah.
And the group has, like, he's been raised around them. He still loves them to this day. He doesn't see them anymore, but he knows them by name, has fond memories.
Well, I'm going to pause you real quick because I got a bunch of questions about your investigations and stuff.
Okay.
So through all the investigations you've done into the paranormal ghosts, stuff like that, what do you think they are?
We're all energy. That's all we ever. The reason that I never even entertained the thought of deleting my son is because I had been taught in school very early that at conception there's a spark of life. It was actually videoed back then, very shitty, but I mean they have a much better version you can find on YouTube now. But
Right.
there is a spark when the little tadpole meets the little egg. And
Yep.
that's life. That's energy.
Right.
And so I think that that's when life is, and I don't think it's my right to take life away. Well, when you turn off the light switch, the light went out, but that doesn't mean the electricity stopped. It just
True.
means it stopped going to that light bulb. So we're all just energy.
Okay. So why do you think, then, which is a great analogy, why do you think they're still here?
Some of them are lost, some of them are angry, some of them don't want to go. Some of them still feel like they have something to do. Some of them feel like they need to make an amends. My mother's a good one. That's why she's still here.
Okay.
My mother scared the living daylights out of somebody. I was early on in my practice. I was pregnant with my baby, and I was living with a friend who I'm still friends with to this day. He's who got me out of that hairy situation where I was like, no, I'm not deleting it. He's like, yeah, you're deleting it. I'm like, nah, come get me. And so this buddy was like, yeah, I got you. We're still, you know that friend.
Probably do.
That's the one that I was like, you know this guy? I went,
Oh,
Yeah,
used to work for me?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's that guy.
Shout out to you, that guy.
So, I went ahead. I don't know if he wants me to say his name.
No, we won't say his name. We don't have his permission, so we're not going to name drop
Right.
him. But hey, that guy.
So
You know, he's not a bad guy. He's really not. He's got a really good heart.
he does. He's a sweetheart.
So he really does. And I know he loves his daughter
He does.
so very much. And that's what I remember the most about him, honestly, was he had a good heart.
Well, this was before she existed.
Oh, really?
Right before.
Oh, wow, that was a long
like
time
about
ago.
a year before.
Yeah, because I met him. He can work for me after he'd already has a daughter.
Okay, so we parted ways for a while in '98.
I was still in the Army.
Yeah. So, but I was there. His friends were there. We all played D&D and stuff like that, and they were really into Magic: The Gathering at that point, and I was okay with it, but I liked D&D better. I'd already been involved in the Vampire Masquerade down at the river. I was doing live action, and then I did tabletop Star Wars with another group. So, like, I fit in with his crew, but it was very obvious that they felt like I didn't quite fit in. Like, everybody just looked at me a little different. One of his friends was married and trying to mac on me. It was a whole thing. It's whatever. But that happens more than you would think. And so that guy brought another friend over. And that guy was like, oh, I don't believe in this. I don't believe in that. And at that point, my mother hadn't scared me yet, which she did startle the crap out of me, and I dealt with that later. But I was like, I can make you see her. And he was like, no, you can't. And I was like, I absolutely can. And that guy was like, did you cast on this house? I was like, I absolutely did. He goes, okay. And I was like, can I? Because his friend's not my friend. And he's like, yeah, do it. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I work with this guy, and I massaged his third eye open. And I was like, look right next to you to the right. And he pissed himself and ran out of the house.
That's hilarious.
He never came back, and he would never speak to me again.
Well, that's one way of getting rid of a creepy suitor.
Yeah, they'll do. So,
It wouldn't, because I don't know if you saw the meme I posted the other day on the Facebook page. It was like, and it was, I saw it, and it made me laugh. And so I had to take it and put it on the Drunken Cryptids page. And it said, keep ghosting me because I'm into that paranormal stuff. And I lost it. And I
love that. I haven't seen it, but I'm going to go steal it.
It is hilarious. It's great. I mean, it made me laugh. And it's where my one buddy commented on it, goes, wrong context, but I'll allow it.
I'm going to go steal your meme and leave you a potato.
There you go. Leave me a potato.
You bet.
Okay.
So, yeah, I did a lot of stuff like that. And the thing is that the group I was with, they weren't bad. They just all did what humans do. They use each other to their own means to better themselves, to get what they want. And at that age, everybody's fairly young, and it's all manipulation. And I started catching on to it.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of inner battling going on. And one of them very specifically was talking behind my back about how they thought I was trying to take over. And I was like, I ain't taking over shit. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And the other ones, the two that I'm still friends with, were like, that one is really upset that you can do more than they can.
See, so what I've learned, and I think it comes across on, and I talked about this with the guys from Nevermore Hollows over the weekend. And when it comes to any religion at all, it can be used for good. Can be used for bad, and a lot of times there becomes a lot of jealousy in there, which that's not how it's supposed to be. So where, like, when I was in the military and somebody was better at something than I was, so instead of me being jealous of them, I was a sponge.
Yes.
You know, I've had this theory my whole entire life: is never be the smartest person in the room, because then you can always learn. And so, you know, one instance about the military was, and Steve, you probably don't listen to the show, but if you were to listen to the show, Steve, you know I love you. Steve was he was one pay grade above me. We called him Grumpy Bear. Some of my soldiers listening probably know who I'm talking about. He was grumpy, but he was grumpy because he had earned it, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Steve had one of those really lucky but unlucky military careers, to where if it was a messed up situation, Steve somehow ended up being involved in it. I will never forget. So if you've seen the movie, Clint Eastwood's in it. He's a Marine. They go save the college kids. Heartbreak Ridge. Yeah, I think it's Heartbreak Ridge. And he's meeting, you know, he's standing there. He's in his full dress uniforms. I was awards on. And the LT, the platoon leader, little lieutenant, stands there. And all he's doing is staring at his awards. We had to do a court-martial. And I was an escort, so I had to wear Class A's. Steve, on the other hand, got tasked to be a bailiff, so he had to wear his Class A's. And I will never forget, and Steve, I hope you are listening because I know you're going to be laughing right now. Our company commander stood there and pulled the same scene and just stared at his awards. I swear Steve has an award, a ribbon, somewhere on his Class A's that says to be continued.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, Steve was... Yeah, I mean, and he wasn't an award chaser, though. Steve was not that guy. Steve was, he was a grunt. He was just a grunt. And so instead of me being like, you know, oh man, that guy, I like, to the point we moved in together.
Aww.
So he had me move in with him. We became really good friends. And that's how it's supposed to be. So if somebody's better at you at something, you're supposed to learn from them and not be jealous of them. You know, and so what I'm learning about, like, this podcasting thing, to be honest with you, there's podcasters out there who want to be number one, and they're going to do what they can to be number one. And there's other podcast shows out there that want to help some of the smaller guys. Like, you know, I was talking the other night with somebody, Eric from Uncomfortable, and I made the comment that said, man, I'm just a little fish in this big pond. And he said, man, we're all little fishes in this big pond. He said, but we're all trying to, he said, but, you know, these guys have reached out to help me grow.
Yeah.
You know, and that just warms my heart. So I do what I can to help them out. So if you guys want to listen to a good show, go follow Eric at Uncomfortable. Go follow Nevermore Hollows. Justin and Jay over there, you guys are great at Cryptids of the Corn. Actually, so the guys at Cryptids of the Corn next year are wanting to come here to the Drunken Cryptids Tavern, and we're going to do a live show with a couple different podcasters, and we're all going to meet here at the tavern and set everything up and have this awesome live show out here at the tavern.
I'm a terrible bartender. I'm a great beer bucket girl.
We may need a couple of people. So, I mean, this is exciting. And, and then the opportunity for me to be with Tanya. So I do think it's neat, and I'm telling everybody this because I think that the world needs more of that. Never be the smartest person in the room. Well, I'll be on like Jay. Well, Justin and Jay up there. Justin is so smart. So you start describing an animal, he's popping off. He's a biologist though, and he'll listen to you and he'll stop and he'll go, okay, all right, yeah, this is what this sounds like. This is, And he's helped out some other podcasts before. They've heard some weird noises, some sounds, and he'll get it and he'll go, okay, the closest sound that I can come up with is like, a Malamute or something like that. And speaking of sounds, we are outside, so Jack hears noises or something. He has to think like he has to bark at everything.
That's my friend. He's keeping me safe.
He hasn't left your side the whole entire time, actually.
I know.
Spoiled dog. I love you, Jack. But no, and that's sad that in these certain situations that you were in, that somebody was jealous of your abilities.
Well, I didn't understand. I really didn't. But my son came up with this a couple of months ago, and he said it, and I'd been writing notes to talk to you because I was deciding if I was going to bring that up at all. But it is something that people like me do tend to have to go through. At some point, we all have a story about somebody trying to push us out or getting jealous and treating us bad. And my son goes, there's this guy I listen to. And I was like, okay, because Josh listens to YouTube like crazy. He's always listening to philosophy, and he likes Nietzsche and stuff like that. And he's read the books, the whole thing. And he goes, you can learn from the dumbest guy in the room and the smartest guy in the room if you just shut up and listen and pay attention. Because even the dumbest guy, well, he'll tell you about the dumb stuff he did, and you know not to do that.
Exactly.
And so,
see, I'm generally the dumbest guy in the room, so I can teach a lot of people what not to do through my mistakes. So,
that's it.
Yep.
And then I was still young, so I was still sponging off everybody. But as I was sponging, apparently I'm too much of a go-getter. Thank you, ADHD. And I started with tarot cards because I got them when I was 12. Well, when I got with the group, there was somebody that had dowsing rods. So I was like, okay, I got to learn that. Well, now I can use dowsing rods. Then I had that necklace from the aunt, and they were like, that'd be a pretty cool pendulum. And I'm like, what's a pendulum? So then I learned how to work with pendulum, which I still do even on my lives.
That's pretty cool.
And then somebody else was like, good at scrying. And I was like, I want to know how to scry. And they're like, bet. And so I learned how to scry. I learned how to scry with water. I learned how to scry with crystals. But my favorite's an obsidian mirror. And it's easier for me. It's just different.
It's your natural.
Yeah. Remember, I'm more of an earthy,
I'm more of a water guy.
So, well, your sun is my rising, so, yeah.
I'm a Cancer, so I just look at it as I'm a water guy.
Yeah.
I love the water.
But, I mean...
But I'm drawn to the mountains, which is weird.
This person had the knowledge, but not the talent, not the natural inclination. And I was just surpassing everything that they'd done, even though they were older than me and more practiced than me.
Okay.
And so eventually, due to things that they were doing and the way that they were treating people, everybody kind of parted ways. I broke off first. One of them passed. One of them is my follower, my watcher, that observes everything I do. They're more of a guide. They're a living guide, and they know, but they don't practice. They're actually paying instead of actually doing the thing. They have the same beliefs, but they don't make things occur. They don't mess with anything like that. They're just like, it happens, it's cool.
Well, let me ask you a question. When you guys are doing this stuff, what are you doing for protection? I mean, how you guys protecting yourselves from,
Everybody has different ways.
Okay, and the reason why I ask this is because I'm a firm believer in the power of manifestation. Where I tell everybody, no Ouija boards, don't do any of that crap at all.
Oh, no, don't play with
And so, so when you're like, doing these things, how are you able to identify and understand that what you're talking to isn't evil or isn't malicious? It's out there to,
if they're
to intent to
familiar,
harm.
then you can tell because you can feel it. If it's not a familiar, you don't know. The reason that I don't play with Ouija boards, never have, never will, is because when you start messing with a Ouija board, you just took out a billboard on the side of the freeway and put your phone number on there, and you're just answering every call.
Yeah. So that's
You
part of
don't
the
know.
issue too. Because the reason because now
But-
here's the deal too though. Listen, guys, if you're trying to manifest stuff, don't do it on your own. Make sure you get with somebody like Heidi first and learn how to do this stuff, because you have no idea what you're going to bring through, because there's a lot of things out there that want to harm us, and they want to harm you.
All right, so in your home, we'll use your home for an example because
Okay.
I clean your house.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so when you first moved
If y'all
in,
haven't caught on when she was talking about housekeeping earlier, Heidi's a housekeeper. Okay.
well, I sold the business to my son, so
Yeah.
now it's second generation. Now I just do the houses I want to when I can and when my back lets me.
I understand the back problem.
Mm-hmm. So when you first moved into this house, everybody was gone except Jack and Mia. I went ahead and I started in every single corner of the house. I swept the house. I did not sweep it into a dustpan. Even the carpet was swept. I swept it out the door. Okay? Then I went back and I put salt in every single corner, including the closets of every single room. By the way, doing that with your washer and dryer there sucked. But
Wait, had to get it moved in.
I know. That's why I was frustrated with you that week, because you put obstacles in my way.
It's trying to move and work at the same time, because remember, I couldn't get off work.
I know.
They wouldn't let me off work to
So-
move, and I was livid. So I had to grab guys after work. And remember, we were here, I mean, we're trying to bring stuff in at 11 o'clock at night.
I know, but rituals take time.
I understand. I had worked. Poor Jacob that week.
I saw his face. He was not good.
No, he was miserable. That's why that first weekend when we did the fire pit, he was just, yeah. I mean, we're still working on it, though. Well, I'm still working on it.
All right, so I put salt in every single one of your windowsills. And with that, I did a salt and water solution, and I used storm water, but it wasn't a storm. It was very specific water that I collected from like a nice cleansing rain. It wasn't like thunder and lightning and horribleness. It was drip, drip, drop when the sky is falling kind of crap from Bambi, okay? It was that level. And I used that particular water for a reason, because I was cleansing, I wasn't stirring. And so I went over your windows, I went over your windowsills, all of your doorways, even your closet doorways, and then I swept all that salt that was in each corner out the door. Then I went back and I got some water that I had already blessed, and I infused it with rosemary. And then I sprayed on the places that had carpets. I sprayed the rosemary water there with a spritz. For all the places that had hard floors, I mopped it with that rosemary and salt water.
Sorry about Jack.
He's protecting me.
He's hearing, it's everybody at night and everything else like that.
Well, he don't know. He's saying danger, stranger.
I know. Sorry, we had to mute there for a minute, folks.
It's okay. He just wants to make sure that my back's covered. He's got my 6. Him's a good boy. He doesn't know they could all be strangers. In his world, they are.
Well, they are strangers, but they're not coming here. I tell you, I'm going to put up some screen, this natural vine screen,
That
this
would be
artificial,
good.
on the sides of the house right there to help. But I know he's hearing the noises, and the people across the street, they're real active. And I mean, they don't bother me, but boy, they will bother him.
Well, it's because we're out here and his nature is to protect us, and he smells them and he hears them being near your side of the road. And that's his territory. That's his nature.
He's a good.
You feed him.
Yep.
And I love on him. So, we're important. Anyways, friend, calm down. It's okay. Sit. Thank you. He's a good friend. All right. So, anyways, after I did that, then I went through and I smudged your house. But when I smudged your house, everybody's going to tell you to just use sage. That's such BS. That is not what I did. I did use sage. But in that sage, and that's why it was red, I also used dragon's blood. I had sweet...
Dragon's blood?
It's dragon's blood. And I had sweet grass, and I had some pine, and I had some cedar in that bundle. And I used over half the bundle.
Is that what you left behind
That
for me
is
to use?
what I left
Okay.
behind.
Oh.
And I told you anytime it felt weird, do it again.
So the funny part about it is there's nothing. I mean, I'll be honest with you, to where I know for a fact that there is nothing weird or anything on my property, in my house. The only thing I do question though, because
Oh, I'm all over that house.
the fairies, I swear. So
You invited them, so I didn't do
look,
anything to get rid of them.
okay. So again, I got the fairy stuff because the kids love it, and so my big thing lately. I don't know if you've been listening or not to like TikTok or anything else. I've been like sucking this fairy thing, the fae folk and vampires.
Yeah.
And so I'm not like making fun of the fae folk, but it's almost I've almost turned into like a punchline. So if something happens, I go, "Is the fae folk." So like if you listen to the episode A Spiral in White County, the guy describes these spirals, about 30-foot diameter spirals in the leaves. The ground is untouched. And I've never heard of this
I
before.
think it's Dominican.
So I said, I called it out. I said it might be the fairies out there. Because the fairies will use, I believe, allegedly, that they will use the projection of Bigfoot, which is to them a protector, allegedly, to us to keep us away from some of their areas.
Yes.
So that's what I believe allegedly.
Just don't forget that the fae folk are very tricky, and they are very you have to be able, and I've warned you about this 100 times, when you interact with them,
I've
you have
never
to make
interacted
sure you
with them.
don't give them your name.
Never talked to them. Nothing. All I did was set the houses up and the little things up because the kids got a kick out and they thought they were cute.
And then leave them some honey out.
I've actually just left them alone. Just so far, the gnome. Remember, I was complaining about the gnome being turned. It hasn't happened. So either it was them or it was a physical person who finally stopped.
I don't know.
Which is why we got the cameras put up.
Well, that's fair. Those TikTok cameras are the bomb.
The cameras are great. I love having the cameras because ever since I've done all that, nothing. Because remember, we're finding like the weird oil transmission stuff in the carport. Yeah, so I think all that stuff is gone now.
Well, with the fae, you just have to remember that you have to be polite because you don't want to offend them, and they're like the British. They're very polite, but you have to deal with them like the British deal with you. You notice how they're very polite, but they tell you things about yourself, and you're like, oh, but you can't really do anything because they did it in the most British way humanly possible. That's how you deal with the fae.
I don't mess with the fae. I don't. There's nothing out there that I will mess with or anything. The only thing I'm gonna try and mess with, honestly, is trying to find Bigfoot.
I want you to find a mannequin on accident. I really do.
I probably will, because Todd, the musical seer, he has this theory, and he's real sensitive as well, and he's right there. He's a medium, actually. I mean, he hit some stuff about Maddie on the head.
Nice.
And he had a conversation with me as of this recording, the day of this recording, about 3 weeks ago. About 3 weeks ago. And he said, he says, Matthew, I just have this feeling that if you go somewhere and they're there, they get excited. Like, oh, he's here. And I was like, yeah, but I also think that when I walk in, they go, oh, crap, he's here.
It could go either way. The difference between my house and your house is that I have iron placed about because the fae are not welcome at my house.
Sorry, I was not choking what you were saying. I was actually choking my bottle of water.
But yeah, I have iron. And I also leave presents for the fae because they're not my enemy. I just don't want them in my house. That's also why Elf on a Shelf is not welcome in my house, because you're literally inviting the fae in.
So I have the Elf on a Shelf, and the only reason why I have the Elf on a Shelf, in all honesty, is because my ex started it with my little boy, and he was so enamored with it. So
they're supposed to be.
And yeah, so when
you know the story about the Elf on the Shelf?
Oh, I know. It's a great marketing campaign and marketing deal as well, too, though. But I mean,
hold up. You can turn the back on it. You can look it up. You can Google it. The lady that invented Elf on a Shelf talks about how she had a fae in her room that she talked with and she worked with all the time as a kid. And the fae made a deal with her that he would make her wealthy if she would help him, because the fae will never do a dang thing for you without getting something in return. They don't work for free, ever. They ain't doing nothing out the kindness of their heart. And so,
So it's not Tinkerbell?
no, Disney just jacked y'all all up with that.
No, that's my big running joke about the Fae folk with
But,
it being Tinkerbell.
All right, so
Because it's
hold
not
up,
Tinkerbell.
because you need to know this. So,
You've actually
she
told this to me, so I want you to tell
describes-
everybody else.
Yes, so she describes this Fae who looks just like Elf on a Shelf. And she talks about how he wanted to get into everywhere. He wanted to get into everyone's homes. And if she could do that, he would help her to become wealthy and secure and stable. And suddenly you and everybody else has a dang elf on a shelf, and you invited the Fae into your house. You have no idea.
I have 2 of them.
And you're letting your kids interact with them.
Well, so the way I look at it is this. So I think the fact of inviting it in and recognizing of what it's supposed to be versus what it is, and to where I think that we have the power to repel it.
Maybe you do, but do your children, do all the other children that have it?
In my house,
Do-
whatever's coming in my house is going to be repelled. I'll tell you
Well,
that.
that's
Because
the-
even with the elf on a shelf here, and honestly, nothing.
Well,
And I ordered a Steelers one for the kids. Oh, Sammy, I hope you're not listening to this episode because she's still into the magic of Christmas. And so I look at it now with the elf on the shelf, and I try and play it in with the magic of Christmas for the kids. And because my little boy thinks it's the neatest thing in the world, they work for Santa Claus, which is another elf.
Yeah.
And so if you're thinking about it, we've been inviting an elf into our house every year anyways through Santa Claus.
Sort of, because the Santa Claus that you know is American Santa Claus. He was a marketing tool by Coca-Cola.
Yes.
Real Santa Claus, the actual dude, is a tall, skinny European guy.
But we all go back to the same thing, though, which is the basis of Santa Claus. We should do a Christmas episode on
We really
Santa
should.
Claus.
Like, yeah, I got so much information on that.
We could, because the real Santa, because the original Santa Claus, it is invited in. You do invite the
Yes.
elf in, but the way I look at it was, so with the Fae, I think more the elf on the shelf is going to fall more along with an elf type thing, because it's supposed to come in at a certain time and then be pushed out at a certain time. And again, like I'll be honest with you, they're in a box in my closet, and when I packed them on up, it was like, see ya.
Witching hour. That's all I got to say about that.
So, but no, but so yeah. So the only thing is, yeah. But again, nothing's happened. The gnome hasn't turned. Nothing
well,
like that at
your house
all.
has been sealed too. You even have protective sigils on your mirrors and your windows to close them.
Well, yeah, and also I believe in, I have, on my, and for my religion too, though, is, with God and everything else like that as well, that nothing's going to come into my house. I'm going to push it out through the power of God.
Well, yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, that's just how that part is. But anyways, okay, so we could do this all day long. I know that much. All right, so
Well,
you fall out of the group.
I follow the group. I parted away with them. Eventually, it gets a little strange about that point. I lost everything 2 more times and then built it back just as fast 2 more times. I have this very strange thing where the same people continuously come at me, or the same bloodline, and they are able to devastate my life, but then I build back better and bigger every time, and I can't really explain it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure part of that is my willpower and my intent need to survive, because my survival instincts are crazy.
I also think the fact of the matter that you're not willing to give up. And there's a lot of hardships that are not of the paranormal that you've been through, and we're not going to talk about those.
Some are, some aren't. Like the ex-husband that we talked about in previous ones set my house on fire with me and my son in it.
Yeah.
It was a trailer. I should be gone. So should my son. But we're not, because I woke up and got out the house that quick. The fire department, everybody was like, "Why are you still here?" I'm like, I don't know.
See, I'm going to fall on the generational curse thing, and so I think some generational curses aren't a curse. I think it's a generational blessing.
I do too. That is a thing. It's a Christian thing. It's a Catholic thing. It's also an Egyptian thing, and it's also a Viking thing. It's a Nordic thing.
To where it's a generational blessing.
Yes.
I think I think some families can be cursed, and I think some families can be blessed. To where it could come across sometimes as a curse, but so I interviewed a guy who's had a crazy life, and he's gone through so many things, and I think that his history is based upon a generational blessing. And we were talking, and the more I thought about it, is a blessing. I think his family's had a good blessing. So
Actually, that totally plays into the next part.
All right. Well, we'll save that for the next episode then. So, are you glad? So do you like this better, a little bit better? This personal one, instead of being on the phone?
I was nervous at first.
You were, but you warmed up to it. You started sitting. You're sitting back. You're relaxing. You look like you've been doing this for a while.
Jack helps a lot.
He's a good boy.
But
Drives me nuts, but he's a good boy.
I tell you what, the part that leads up to is I broke away from those groups. I came into a couple more groups. I decided I'm better off on my own. A lot of people like me will try to bring covens together, and I don't. I do have a group of people that I work with, but we don't like chill all the time. We come together when it's needed, when you need that extra oomph, and holidays like Samhain's coming up. And it kind of went on about that, and I had different mentors that I connected with. I even worked with a demonologist for a while, not because I wanted to be a demonologist, but because I felt like after reading the Lower Keys of Solomon, I didn't get it, and I was like, help me understand this. And he took me in for like 8 months and helped me to understand what I was seeing. And it went on like that, and the growth went on until my son was about 7. So I would have been 27 when things took a different turn again.
Well, we'll leave it at that hanging point right there. So, but thank you for coming on again and coming over.
Absolutely.
I know that with work coming up for you, it's going to be busy. I know that I'm slammed for the month of September. I'm really slammed for the month of September. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll make it like a Halloween. We'll do one for October or something like that. We'll try and schedule for October.
This next segment is gonna be a little better for the people that are like me or that want to be like me, but they have to be hidden because it's unacceptable to their families or their friends, or they're in the closet, the broom closet, as we say.
Well, let's start that in October then.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll schedule something for October. All right. Well, you guys, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Drunken Cryptids. I appreciate all the support you guys have given me. Make sure you give us a like and a follow on all your social media platforms and all wherever you find your podcast, your favorite podcast at. Hopefully, I'm one of them now. Please give us that 5-star review and rating. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the support and help from all my friends, my listeners. You guys are great. I'm having a blast with you guys. I'm loving interacting with you guys. If you have questions, comments, email me, message me. Obviously, I'm on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. I'm on, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Actually, Tommy runs the Instagram side because I'm not that smart. I can't even figure TikTok out, to be honest with you. But if you've had an encounter and you want to come on the show, email me, drunkencryptids@gmail.com. Send me a message on Facebook or TikTok. That's how I met Todd. Todd, the musical's here. So, by all means, y'all reach out to me. I appreciate the support. Again, we'll be at the Paranormal Expo this October 26th and 27th. Come on out. Come meet the team. Just look for the guys in the kilts. I can guarantee you we'll be wearing kilts at the show. So, all right. Y'all stay safe. Have a wonderful night. Thank you again, Heidi.